Okay, let us start. Go to this, let me see. Now, let us go through vapor compression refrigeration cycle with certain other application with superheated vapor after the compression itself. What is meant by this type superheated vapor here? There you see there is TS diagram and pressure entropy diagram. What is saying? We know operation 421. Operation 421 is the evaporator, 1 to 2 is the compression itself, 2 to 3 is the condensation, and 3 to 4 is the expansion itself. Same is the case with PS diagram, where ordinate is the pressure and backside is the enthalpy itself. And in TS diagram, where temperature is the ordinate and entropy is the abscissa of what is shown. It is like similar before. 4:1, that is evaporation, and 3:2, which is condensation, is isothermal process. And in PS diagram, 3 to 4 is shown as constant. Let's start it again. Now, what we are doing, now, what is seen in this diagram is the compression refrigeration during the vapor compression cycle. The refrigerant at the inlet is directly vaporized on the saturation vapor line 1. This line is all saturated vapor, and this is saturated liquid line, and this is called saturated vapor line itself. Same is the case here, saturated liquid line and saturated vapor line here. So what we have found on this figure is that the inlet temperature at the point compressor at entry is receiving the vaporized refrigerant at fully vaporized state. Fully saturated state means it is starting from over the point 1, which is on the saturated vapor line itself. Now from there it is compressed, and due to the application of external workforce in the during compression, it is its temperature as well as it raised up to the point 2, where it is in superheated region itself. Means we know this region is the wet region, this is vapor and wet region, and this region is superheated region. Now, at the time of condensation, it is first reduces temperature. It is not totally isothermal. It is reduces temperature from 2 to 2- and reached the saturated vapor line, and from there 2- to 3, it is condensation takes place during with isothermally, and reached at the point 3, where full vapor of the refrigerant is converted into dry liquid saturated vapor, a liquid saturated refrigerant. So at the point Now, so the rest of the line in the rest of the places here from 4 to 1 is in the wet vapor region, and it is from the point 4 to the, up to the stage 1, where full liquid refrigerant is converted, is evaporated into the vapor refrigerant and reached at the point 1. So compression is starting here from so the degree of this is as it is separated and up to the point 2, and then during condensation process it is now the degree of superheat has been found out by equating the entropy at the point 1 and 2. So what we find here at the point 1, it is on the dry saturated vapor line. So here we have the entropy at the vapor stages and enthalpy at the fully vapor stages. There is no dryness fraction here. There is no portion of it is in the form of liquid, or no portion of it is in the form of vapor. It is totally in the form of vapor itself. So the problem is from 1 to 3, it is compressed and reaches the superheated position in the superheated state, which is more than, which means it is at with the temperature T2, which is more than the temperature of evaporating temperature of the your concerned refrigerant itself. So at the time of condensation, it will first the temperature reduce from temperature 2 and reach to the temperature 2 dash. Then it is, which is not isothermal, but energy is reducing here. That is sensible heat is released here, and from 2 to 3 it is isothermal. That is, there is no heat transfer takes place, or only the full vapor is being converted to the liquid in the liquid and reached at the point 3, where which is the wet saturated line, which means that at the point 3 that refrigerant is totally condensed to liquid itself. So here the coefficient of thermal performance will find out in the same manner at H1, that is the refrigerating effect is H1 minus H4, which is equal to H1 minus HF3 divided by the work done H2 minus H1. Here the one problem is there. Here the evaporating effect is more because this line 1 to 4 is bigger in length. 1 to 4 is bigger in length than the previous instances where the compression starts from wet vapor stage, and somewhere here it is started. So evaporating effect is more here. But at the same time, the work which is required to be done by the compressor is more than the previous one, where initially it was from here to here, but now it is increased from here to here. So as a whole, this type of superheating, this type of process where every evaporator is the evaporator refrigerant is totally evaporated and reach the saturated vapor region at point 1, then it is superheated to up to the point 2. This process is reduced to a certain extent the coefficient of performance. Although both evaporating effect is more, but at the same time work done is also more. That's why COP is going to be comparatively later, comparatively less. Let us go through one problem, two problems, which will clear our matter here. Now, what is given here? A vapor compression refrigeration system. Here it is using methyl chloride R40 as refrigerant and operates between the temperature minus 10 degrees centigrade to minus 45, 43 degrees centigrade. At the entry to the compressor, the refrigerant is dry saturated, and after the expansion compression, it acquires the temperature of 60 degrees centigrade. Find the COP of the refrigerant, and provided the properties of methyl chloride is given as follows. At a lower temperature, minus 10 degrees centigrade, the enthalpy of the liquid and vapor refrigerant is given, and that entropy at liquid and vapor is also given. At saturation temperature 45 degree, it is now. What will solve this problem? First, you have to convert the lower temperature T1, which is equal to T4. T1 means the temperature at the point 1, and that T4 is the temperature at the point 4, means temperature at the exit of the temperature of the refrigerant at the exit of the evaporator, and it is the temperature of the refrigerant at the entrance of the evaporator, which is given as minus 10 degrees centigrade. And as we have to convert it to degree Kelvin, it will be equal to 263 Kelvin, and temperature T2 dash, which is the higher temperature. The temperature at the, although it is not at the entrance of the or the condenser, but from here the isothermal condensation takes place. So from T2 dash is equal to T3. T3 is the outlet of the temperature of the refrigerant at the point 3, which is where it is totally dry set. Wet saturated condition. So T2 dash will be equal to T3, which is equal to 43 degrees centigrade multiplied by 45 degrees centigrade, which is equal to 45 plus 273, which is 318 K. Now T2, which is given here, which is in superheated state, that is 60 degrees centigrade, much higher than 45 degrees centigrade T2 dash, which is equal to 60 plus 273 with 33 degree Kelvin. Next, from the chart, let us find out what is our required enthalpy at the point 4, 1, 2, and 3. Let us start once again. So problem is stopping repeatedly due to net সমস্যা. Now, let us go through what is the value of H1, H2, H3, and H4. Here, what will happen? This is not shown here properly. This is the length of the compression line itself. Now, first of all, we have to find out what is HF1. HF1 is, what is HF1? HF1 is the enthalpy of a fluid at the point 1. Enthalpy of the refrigerant in fluid state at the point 1. What is at the point 1? What will be the enthalpy of the fluid state? Here at this position, it is in vapor state. But when this line intersects at the wet saturated line at the point 1, this is the H1. this is the enthalpy at the fluid state. So HF1 is given here by enthalpy at the liquid state at 0.1, that is 35.51 degrees centigrade. And HF3, it is the enthalpy of the liquid. This is also in fluid state at the 0.3, which is at the temperature 40 of higher temperature, that is temperature 40 degrees centigrade. So at the fluid state, it is equal to 133.0 degrees centigrade. That is HF1 and HF3. And what will H1? H1 is on the dry saturated vapor line, or that is equal to H1 is equal to Hg1, which is enthalpy of the gases, which is given as 460. H of the vapor 460.7 degrees centigrade, which is given here. And what is H2? Is the temperature? It is the enthalpy of the dry saturated vapor at temperature 318 degrees centigrade, means high temperature. This is the enthalpy 483.6 degrees centigrade here, which is H2 dash. And SF1, the enthalpy of the entropy of the fluid at the 0.1 is given somewhere here, which is on the same lower temperature line, which is intersecting at the 0.1 on the TS chart. So it is at the 0.1, HF1 is given as a liquid state 183 kilojoule per kg. 0.123 kilojoule per kg. And SF2 is the entropy at the 0.2 with entropy at the 0.3, which is the entropy of the refrigerant in liquid state at a temperature 318 degree Kelvin, which is at the point here through here, which is equal to the liquid state 0.485. This is 0.485 itself. And S1 is the entropy at the 0.1, which is equal to S2, entropy at the superheated state, but this is as a isentropic process. The entropy at 0.2 is equal to S entropy at the 0.1. S1 is equal to S2, is the entropy of the at the vapor state at the lower temperature, that is 0.167. This is given here. And S2 dash is the entropy at the 0.2 dash at the higher temperature of the cycle, which is given as 1.35587. Now we have to find out from this condition. This is 1, 2 is the isentropic line. So S1 is equal to S2. We have to find S2 is equal to, what will happen? S2 will be equal to S2 is equal to S2 dash plus the mass flow of refrigerant, which is not given here. This is also there, 2.3 with coefficient Cp, the specific heat, multiplied by the log LT2 divided by T1 itself. Log T2 by T1 itself. So that happens if you put the value of S2 and S2 dash and put the value 2.3 as mass into Cp, that to log 333 divided by 318, which is given as 1.587 divided by multiplies 2.3 into Cp, 2.3 Cp into multiplied by 1.02. So 1.587 per 4.06 Cp. That's Cp, the coefficient of thermal specific heat at constant pressure is equal to 1.09 itself. So as we got the specific heat of the superheated vapor, so we can get the value of enthalpy H2, which is given as H2 dash plus Cp into degree of superheat itself. H2 dash plus Cp, Cp have calculated, T2 as well as T2 dash, T2 and T2 dash is both are available, and H2 dash, the enthalpy at the dry saturated vapor is given as 483. So H2, enthalpy of the superheated vapor is given as 483 plus 1.09 plus multiplied by 333 minus 318 is equal to 500 kilojoule. Thus, we have got the value of H2. So COP of the refrigerator will be like this: H2 minus H1 will be the denominator, which is the work being done in the compression starting from H1 to reaching at H2. We put both of them value 500 minus 460.7 and H1 minus HA3 with the refrigerating effect, and put down the value of H1 and HA3, and we'll get the value of COP here. Now, let us go through next problem. Now, what is given here? A simple refrigerant R134A tetrafluoroethylene heat pump for space heating. Well, here, what do you mean by space heating? So far, we are going through the space cooling, the inside of some room, which is being cooled to a certain temperature from the lower than the room temperature itself. Now, here it is being used for space heating. The temperature of the inside the room is supposed to be heated in more than the room more than the normal atmospheric temperature itself. So it is operating between it. Its outside temperature is 15 degrees centigrade and inside of the room is set up to 50 degrees centigrade, which is shown here. The heat required to be pumped is 100 megajoule per hour. Thereby, the dryness fraction of the refrigerant entering the evaporator itself, the discharge temperature means refrigerant we know HF2, H2, H4 also is in the wet vapor region. So it must have to aside portion of it is in vapor pressure and portion of it is in liquid form. So the fraction of the vapor and to the fraction of liquid is the dryness fraction, which we are supposed to calculate here. The discharge temperature assumes the specific heat of vapor at 996. Now, what will be the discharge temperature of vapor? The theoretical piston displacement of the compressor is equal to 4. So the theoretical power of the compressor is equal to 5, then the COP. The theoretical piston displacement first we have to find out, then theoretical power of the compressor, then 5 the COP itself. The specific volume of the refrigeration saturated vapor is 40 degree. It is 50 degrees centigrade. Specific volume is given as 0.004184, and that other properties are given here in terms of specific enthalpy and specific entropy itself. So what we have here, this heat pump system is operating. The lowest temperature is 15 degrees centigrade, and higher temperature is 50 degrees centigrade, which means the surrounding atmosphere of the room has temperature 15 degrees centigrade, and from where we have to pump heat to make the temperature of heat rise from 15 to 50 degrees centigrade. The pressure, the surrounding pressure is around 8.337 in bar, and pressure inside the room is supposed to be 13.187 bar itself. So first of all, let us convert the temperature, lower temperature T1 to T4 here, T1 to T4, which is 15 degrees centigrade, which is equal to 288 degree Kelvin. T2 dash to T3, 50 degrees centigrade is equal to 50 plus 273 is equal to 223.5 degree Kelvin. And Q is the 100 megajoule per megajoule. Q is the 100 megajoule, which is 100 into the power 7 kilojoule per hour. So the amount of heat which is being extracted is given here. 100, the heat required to be pumped. The amount of heat which is supposed to be pumped here means given as 100 megajoule is equal to given as 10 100 to the power 3 kilojoule per meter, and Cp coefficient of thermal specific heat of the refrigerant is 0.996, and volume, specific volume is given at 4.3 HF1, which is the enthalpy of the fluid at the point 1 in liquid state itself, which is given as 220.26 degrees centigrade is the HF1 at the point here. This is HF1, which is the intersection of this isothermal line with that of the saturated saturated liquid line itself, which is given as HF1 here. HF1 thus is equal to 220.26 as given here itself, and H3 or HF3, the temperature of the fluid, which is equal to H5, which is equal to H4, is given here. The temperature of the liquid refrigerant at the wet refrigeration line at the point 3 itself, which is 271.97, which is given here 271.97 here. That's also 271.97 kilojoule. Next comes to H1, which is on the dry saturated line, but H1 is given as 413.6 kilojoule, which is at 15 degrees centigrade, 413.3 kilojoules, and H2, which is over the saturated vapor line at temperature 2 to 3 is given as H2 dash, which is equal to 430. This is given here. And SF1, this is the saturated entropy at the point 1, which is here at 2 degrees centigrade, 288 degree Kelvin, which is 1.70029. This is here. Liquid enthalpy is liquid entropy is given here. S2, which is equal to S1, which is the temperature the entropy at the gaseous stage at this moment. So this is the 1.7439 here, and SF3 is entropy at the point 3, which is equal to the entropy of the HF3, which is the entropy of the fluid at the point 3 at high temperature, or the higher temperature of the system. So higher temperature of the system and entropy will be here at point 3, which is given as entropy of the liquid at a higher temperature itself. So at higher temperature 1.7312, which is liquid, that is vapor 1.214, 1.2410, and S2 dash, which is equal to S1. S2 dash, which is already given, which is also given entropy at the point 2 dash, which means entropy of the refrigerant at vapor state of the higher vapor of the saturated vapor line, which is given as 2 dash S2 dash, which is equal to 1.713 kilojoule per kg. So these are the inputs which we have put in the figure, and actually to make what we have to do is, first of all, dryness fraction of the refrigerant entering the evaporator, which means the dryness fraction at the point 4. First of all, we have to do the dryness fraction of the refrigerant entering the evaporator. We know dryness fraction of the evaporator at point 4 is equal to X4 H4 minus HF1. H4 is the enthalpy at the point 4 minus enthalpy at the as HF1 itself. Enthalpy at the point 4 here. Enthalpy at the point 4 and enthalpy at the point 1 here, and divided by H1 minus HF1. So what is the enthalpy here at the 4 here at the point 4 minus the enthalpy of the wet enthalpy at the wet saturated line on at low temperature, minus divided by enthalpy at the point 1, where when the enthalpy is fully saturated, fully vaporized, when the refrigerant fully vaporized and on the saturated vapor line, then which is known to us, minus enthalpy at the saturated wet saturated line itself. So total from here to here, that is the total linear latent heat of absorption takes place, supposed to be takes place. So total heat divided by the fraction of the heat, which is actually the heat, which is given by the dryness fraction itself. That is thus X4, H4 by H1 and H1 minus HF1 itself, which is, if put the respective value which have all brought out, will have the dryness fraction at 4 as 0.675. Next question was the discharge temperature assuming the specific heat of vapor at 0.996. Means discharge temperature means we have to find out what is the temperature at the point T2, which is not given to us. We have now T2 dash is the discharge temperature. We are assuming the temperature at superheated region at which the vapor is being released, and it is given as the entropy at discharge at point 3 is S2. S2 is equal to S2 dash plus 2.3 into Cp log T2 by T1. Now, if you put the value of T2 dash, which is known to us, T2 we don't know, Cp we have put is given, S2 dash and S2 both are given, and because S2 dash is equal to S1 and S2 is equal to S1 and S2 dash is given in the chart itself. So what is happened? Log T2 by T1 is given by this by the left portion of it. So it's equal to 0.005554. So T2 by T1 e to the power 1 point, taking antilog of it to the 1.0125. So if T2 is known, then T2 dash, if T2 dash is known, so T2 we can calculate by multiplied 1.012 multiplied by 223 is equal to 227.13 is equal to 54.113 degrees centigrade approximately. Next portion is what is the theoretical piston displacement of the compressor itself? That is 3, theoretical piston displacement of the compressor. So here we have to find out the amount volume that is being used in the compressor here. When the enthalpy at discharge at the point 2, H2 is given as H2 dash plus Cp, T2 dash minus T2 dash. Both T2 and T2 dash we have calculated just now. Cp is known to dash. So H2, the enthalpy at the end of compression is given by 434.5. Mass flow rate of the refrigerant will be equal to the amount of heat distracted divided by per hour or per day divided by the amount of heat is released in the condenser itself. So cube is given as 100 to the power 3. It is given here. The amount of heat required to be pumped is the 100 megajoule per second. This is the amount of heat you are supposed to release at the time of expansion, at the time of your condenser itself. Here condenser is being used to as the heater of the room itself. So the amount of heat which is released here is given, it is 100 into the power multiplied by 10 to the power 3 divided by the amount of heat released, amount of energy released per kg during that process, H2 minus HF3. So we have got H2 and we have got HF3. if you put this value and put the value of Q, you will get 165 kg per hour or 10.54 kg per minute is the mass flow. So the theoretical displacement of the compression itself, because this amount of mass is being compressed in the compression, being compressed in the compression per minute. So the mass flow per minute multiplied by the specific volume in will be 10 into 10 to the power 10.254 into 10 to the power 04185 is equal to 5.29. Now, the work done by the compressor. So spherical piston movement is 4.29 meter cube per minute. Next comes what is the theoretical power of the compressor itself. Now, the work done by the compressor is equal to mass flow rate multiplied by the energy enthalpy per kg, enthalpy per kg during the compression process, enthalpy changes per kg during the compression process. That is H2 is the enthalpy at the end of compression, H1 at the beginning of compression per kg multiplied the mass flow of refrigerant fluid in the system, which is 10.524, which is just calculated here, and H2 minus H1 we have already got. So the work done by the compressor is 4.13 kilojoule per minute itself. So power of the compressor is supposed to be divided by per second, divided by 6 to convert it per second. So after division by 60, 3.57 divided by 60 is equal to 3.56 kilojoule per second or kilowatt answer. So thus, what you know, final question is the COP. How will you calculate?